Hello and welcome to episode number 54 of the Nintendo Jump Podcast. We are a weekly discussion podcast created for Nintendo gamers by Nintendo gamers. It is the week of July 1st, which means we are recording this on the eve of the 4th of July, which if you hear some explosions in the background, I almost promise you that we're going to be okay. Sorry about that. But anyways, my name is Daryl, and this week, for the first time since last week, I am joined by my good friend Sergio. How are you, sir?
Hey Daryl, I'm doing quite well. It's been I guess it's slow starting week. You know, we're getting there. We're halfway there, but all good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I am playing a really fun new game, but we'll get into that. And also, joining us is our good friend Kevin. Kevin, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty well. I got some kombucha a foot away from me, and it is mint lemonade, which is one of the best flavors from the Brew Doctor, which is a brand in Portland. It even has a Portland Timbers logo, so shout out to the Timbers. It's really nice. I'm 90% away from finishing it, and yeah, I'm just good to go.
Oh, sounds awesome. So,
Yeah.
man, I mean, it's kind of a slow week in terms of game releases. Not too much came out, but I guess, we're going to do the podcast anyway. So, Kevin, what are we talking about this week?
Yeah, we're just gonna talk about this one game that just came out. Not a really big deal, but about a maker of Mario games, Super Mario Maker 2. Yeah, it's Super Mario Maker 2. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about all about it, and just dive right into it.
Yeah, given our full review, like 4 days after it came out. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, we played the bleep out of it, and man, all of us have created at least one level, and played other people's levels, and especially within our community. And yeah, I mean, let's just jump right into it. So I'll start with you, Sergio. What are your initial impressions of the game? Starting with creating your own level. What do you think of it?
Well, I think it works really well in basically creating levels. It's definitely gonna work better if you do it in handheld mode, and especially using a capacitive stylus. But even using the controller, I'm for those that have played my level, it's basically very simple. It's just a bunch of blocks. But even then, like once you get a feel for the controls and how to make the level and how to navigate the menus, because since there's a lot of creative potential here, there's gonna be a lot of menus too. But once you get a good feel for how things flow, yeah, you can get pretty much going really quickly. Like I said, even in dock mode. So for sure, making levels, it's a breeze. It's very easy.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, initially, so man, Super Mario Maker is it's kind of a crazy game, and it was in the first game too, where I think I've talked about this on the show actually, but it surprised me how fun it was to make levels in the first game, and now in the second game, practically every aspect of that is even better. All of the menus have been kind of redesigned. To me, they're a lot more intuitive. Things are a little bit easier to actually find. Super Mario Maker 1 had a lot of almost little like hidden Easter egg things, like if you put an enemy and you drag a mushroom on the enemy, then they'll grow, right? Which is
Nice.
It's kind of fun, it's kind of playful, but also if you didn't know that, there were a few things like that. If you didn't know,
Right.
it was kind of hard to figure out what you could do. Mario Maker 2 has changed a lot of that, where basically you just long press them, and it gives you an option. You want to put a mushroom, you want them flying or a parachute or whatever, and it just kind of does it for you. And everything in there has been just kind of tightened up here and there, made a little bit clearer, and it is just, man, it is just a good time to sit down and try to think up, what am I gonna make as a level? What do I want to play? What do I want people to play? It's really entertaining, and I mean, obviously, you've got this game that has probably already has thousands of Mario levels in it, which is insane to a Nintendo gamer. Like, there's a ton of Mario levels here, and that's a huge selling point. But I am constantly surprised at how fun it is to make levels. Kevin, I know you made one. You kind of share the same type impression.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's for me, it's very easy to get lost in the process of making a level, which is a good thing because there's so many options. There's like a plethora of things you can do. Whether you want to make a slope and then make another block where you have to like run and jump to it, and then try to add some challenges like with some hammer bros trying to throw hammers at you, and with the added challenge of the hammer bros jumping to a bottom platform where it would just throw you off a little bit. I think it's very, very interesting. And for me, my first thing was like, I'm gonna make the hardest level right now. Like I wanted to make something really hard, but still doable.
Good start.
Good start. Yeah, when I finished completing I'm gonna take that back. When I finished making the level, I called it One Shot Icarus because there's no power ups, there's no Yoshis or whatever. You just have one shot, one opportunity to beat the level, and if you don't, you have to start all over again. And I made sure to get the maximum length of that horizontal field to make sure that I can cover every bit, because it's gonna be hard. And I gotta be honest, like when the level that I created, when it was uploaded, I had a hard time beating it at first. So the first version was really, really difficult, and then the final version of it still difficult, a bit more doable. And when I first finished creating the level, I didn't realize you have to clear it to for it to be uploaded. I'm like, oh, okay, it should be fine. 'Cause I've been playtesting, bits and pieces of the level individually, not like one playthrough.
Mhm.
And as a playtester, it's very different when you just playtest each part by part than playing the whole level at once, because that's two totally different things. And so when I did part by part, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I can beat this easy, yeah, right. And then like when I tried to beat the whole level in its entirety, I was like, oh gosh, I have to make it a bit easier. So, and this is late at night. And mind you, it was really enjoyable. It was just like, but at this point, I was like, oh gosh, like I want to upload this before I go to sleep. It was already like 3:30 in the morning. I'm like, okay, I'm done. So, but yeah, my point is that I really enjoy the process of making the levels and just coming up with a theme. I mean, for me, it's One Shot Icarus. You have one shot, one opportunity, and just taking advantage of like the on-off switches, the different types of platforming. Yeah, and it's there we go. It's that was just the level I wanted to create, and I'm glad it's up there.
Yeah, nice. I mean, so what I find with this game a lot, and you see a lot of really hard Mario levels
Yeah.
coming out of Mario Maker 1 and 2, actually. And what I find a lot is it kind of brings me back to the original game, Battletoads game.
Ooh.
If you guys remember that, it's a very,
Oh.
very hard game. Like almost oppressively hard, like very, very hard game. And the way it got there is their playtesters got really good at the game and kept saying, nah, this isn't hard enough, this isn't hard enough, this isn't hard enough. But what they didn't realize is that they've been practicing that, over and over and over and over. So they got really, really good at the game. And then the kind of the difficulty scope increased like crazy because of these playtesters. And you see that a lot in Mario Maker. Like, just because you can beat something that you've been testing out and creating and know where everything is I mean, if you want to make a really hard level, absolutely go for it. I would encourage you to make it at least fair. Like maybe don't throw thousands and thousands of spinies on the screen that there's one little path. Definitely don't give yourself a hidden block with a star in it or something like that. That's just
Yeah.
that's an a-hole move right there.
Yeah.
Things like that. Try to keep it fair. But if you want to make a hard level, do it. If you want to make a level that is accessible for people, make it easier than you expect you need to, because the clear rates are always surprisingly low on these levels for me. People find ways to die in very odd places, just historically. It's crazy. This game has a good way of just making us all feel really smart with our level designs. Like, I'm this mastermind, and this is my world. This is what I'm creating, and it's just fun. It's fun to see it realized, especially when at the end of the day you make a level that you enjoy playing, which I, I've been lucky enough to do through the first game and to make a couple of levels that I actually go back to and play because I enjoy them. That's kind of my goal, and it's nice to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, and I completely agree with your point about making a level that you want to make and basically a level that you want to play yourself. That was my approach for my level. I liked the difficult, uh, very tricky jumps kind of levels. And another benefit of that is that it it took me like 10 minutes to make it, very quick to make, but it took me almost 40 minutes or more to actually clear it.
Oh,
So
oh wow.
th-
That's
that
that's
was
pretty
that was
good actually.
fun.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
But but yeah, making a level that you want to make, I think that's key. And I got, we've been playing a lot of our community levels, and a lot of them are really fun. But the one that stood out to me is actually your first level, Daryl,
Uh-huh.
because
Mm.
it, to me, it's the most Nintendo-like. It has like the Nintendo whimsy. Like I could definitely see this level being on a like an official Mario game, being made by Nintendo. It was really good and just really like magical, fun Mario time.
Oh God, that's that is too high of praise probably. And I want to give one shout out. So we are keeping a spreadsheet of the levels that our community makes. I will share that on Twitter too, because I think getting it out there and getting more people making levels and adding them to this sheet, I think is a really good thing. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. And I've been enjoying seeing that you can learn a lot about somebody by the levels that they're trying to create. And we've seen a
Yes.
ton of really, really fun ones. I could highlight a bunch. I'm going to single out one person. And I'm going to single out Sonic King, who has been
Mm.
making levels that, like, his design strategy seems to be trying to make levels that Nintendo would actually make.
Oh,
Like, these are not the hardest levels in the game. These are not
Mhm.
the most complex. They're not really gimmick based. They just are fun Mario levels, and they feel like fun Mario levels. And you can play them in a bunch of different ways. Like he's like specifically hiding a 1-up mushroom somewhere in each level, and he's uh just kind of compiling levels that you might see from something like a Super Mario World, and that's really fun to play. Also, there's this kind of secondary concept here that you could actually speed run these levels, which a couple of us have been like trying to go
yes.
back and forth and set the best times on and such.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's pretty nice.
I admire that, because what this game kind of forces a lot of people to do, me myself included. I love making kind of gimmicky levels. Like, this is what I want to do for this level. Uh, I'm making one right now where you use a ton of different enemy types to help you along the way, and so
Oh,
there's like these gimmicks that you can throw in there. But if you can create a level that just kind of feels like a Nintendo level, man, that's the pinnacle for me.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that point. I mean, and I think making a level that Nintendo would make typically draws more people in, and nostalgia at its highest. Yeah, like you, when I played Sonic King's level, I was like, "Whoa, wow! Like this does seem like a level that Nintendo would make." It just felt very, um, just the thematic of Mushroom Kingdom. It was just a joyful level to play. There were the Goombas that harken back to the days of the original Super Mario Brothers. I mean, there's just it has a charm to it, and I think that's what we have in the levels that we create too. Like, there's always some sort of theme, whether it's difficulty or bringing back more nostalgia, or just center around one mechanic. I think that's the beauty of level creation, and is what makes the game really strong. I do regret not playing Super Mario Maker 1, due to my other attention to other games and other platforms, but I do regret it. But I'm glad that I'm on the train with you guys on this, and it's just yeah, it's amazing. I mean, and there's that one guy, that Celeste programmer. Is it
Matt Thorson, yeah.
Matt Thorson? Yeah, I played his Bonsai Bill level. That
Hmm.
was one of my favorite levels. Like it's probably my top 3 or 2 right now. Like it's really fun.
So it turns out he's a very good level designer.
He is.
Who
Oh yeah.
who would have thought? But he's got probably 5 or 6 out there now, and they're all
Yeah.
really good. So yeah, definitely. If you get a chance, look up Matt Thorson, one of the creators of Celeste, making Mario levels. It's just kind of a magical thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, like, when you have someone like him creating levels, your game is really good. I mean, that's just like, it's, it, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I personally, it's harder for me to say. I'm 50-50, like 50% like creating levels and 50% like playing levels. Like, I can't decide which one I like better. I think they're both even in my books. That's my take.
So coming into this, did you guys expect that? I was kind of talking it up a little bit because I think I was the only one who really spent significant time in Mario Maker 1, and I was kind of blown away by just how much fun it was to create levels. So, I mean, Kevin, did you expect it coming in that might actually be a 50-50 split?
I actually thought that would have been like 90-10. Like I thought that 90% would be just creation and then 10% would be
Oh,
like
interesting. Okay.
yeah.
Oh.
I mean, and I don't want to disrespect playing the levels. Like I just felt like I thought that 90% of the game would be like the best parts would be from creating levels. The name itself, Mario Maker. That was just my initial impression. But I was completely wrong, and I'm glad I am because playing these levels have been such a joy. And when I say 90%, I mean like that includes watching other people play levels. 'Cause 10% would be like, oh, just actually playing it. So
Hmm.
I'm glad I'm wrong about it. But yeah, for me it's 50-50. Like, I just love playing these levels, man. Like, even like both both you guys' your guys' levels. I mean, it's just like trying to jump from one ice block to one ice block on yours, Sergio, and I actually got hit, or I ran into the sun right
Yep.
before I was about to quit. I'm like, ah, this is crazy. And then Daryl's level, your second level, I got the 4th coin. I'm like, uh-oh, I gotta I gotta run down the stairs or the slope and then try to avoid the lava, but I couldn't. I'm like, guys, it was this, but I wasn't like upset or irritated. I was like, oh man, I gotta try again, but then I never got to that point again after a while. So
Oh no.
yeah, it was okay. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I definitely want to make more levels on the newer Mario games, like New Super Mario World or Super Mario 3D World. I didn't even know there was a propeller Mario until like I was playing one of the story levels, so I thought it was pretty interesting. And that goes to show that I'm the third biggest fan here. Because I did not play Super Mario 3D World.
Confirmed.
Confirmed. Because I didn't play Super Mario 3D World, unfortunately, which I have mentioned in the past. But yeah, what about you guys? What do you guys think about like? Did you guys coming in? What was your impression of like percentage wise of like creation or playing? Like, what was your guys' impression?
Well, for me, I really thought it was gonna be pretty much 100% playing, 0% making. It's
Oh,
funny because on Mario Maker 1, the first one on the Wii U, I played it very little, but one thing that I very strongly remember is that it kind of forces you to make a level. And I guess it makes sense because, it's Mario Maker, right? As soon
right.
as you start a game, you have to make a level. And back then, I said, no, I don't want to. I just want to play levels. This game is forcing me to do something, right? So I was expecting the same thing on this one, and I figured, okay, I'll just make one quick level and I'm done. But actually, you don't. You can just start playing from the very beginning. And I don't know why, like, I wasn't expecting that, so I said, well, you know what? Let me actually go in there and make a level. And I just lay down some quick blocks there, and voila, we have the Angry Chasm. And I actually had a lot of fun not making the level because that was so easy, but actually making, because you have to clear it, right, not before you upload it. So playing the level and then getting feedback from everyone and calling it an evil level, which it isn't, is challenging. The word is challenging.
It's an angry level. It's in the name. It's an
Yeah.
angry level.
Yeah, like before I played your level, Sergio, I saw the clears. It was like 10 out of 1,000. I'm like, wow, okay, like that is crazy. And I understood why, and I was like, okay, well, I definitely have to beat this somehow.
Yeah,
Um,
but even, that simple, quick, oh, let's just make a level just to try it out. But then you like I said, you get feedback, you get comments, you get more ideas. And also by playing a lot of other people's levels, for example, Shy Guy's levels from our community, he basically uses Yoshi. He sacrifices a lot of Yoshis for for the sake of beating his level, and it kind of inspires me to try something different, something that requires me to save Yoshi until the end. And playing more people's levels gives you more ideas, and I can see myself going back and making other levels and not just simple like one jump block type of things, like actual levels, because I enjoy the process and I enjoy the community aspect of it. Also,
mm,
wanted to highlight that it's not just making and sharing and playing our levels, but in our community we have also experienced people sort of play testing them for us. Like, oh, you could fix this here or
Yeah.
change that here, and it's gonna make it better.
it's
That's a
great.
really
Yeah.
cool part that I wasn't expecting, and it's really cool.
Yeah, so I mean, with me, I came in. I had a lot of time in Mario Maker 1, and for whatever reason with that game, I just kind of hit a ceiling, and I was like, you know what, I'm good, and that was it. That was my experience with Mario Maker 1. But I made a bunch of levels. I probably made 10 or so in that game, and like I said before, I was shocked at how good the actual making was. In that it's just kind of playful, like it's just kind of very very smart, very quick, snappy. Um, like frequently when I'm making a level, I'll do something like I'll take Mario to the edge of where he wants to jump off of. I'll do the full jump and then I'll stop it immediately, and it shows you a little trail of where you've been, and then you can
Mm.
put a platform
Yes.
exactly where you want to land from that jump, right? And it's just like you can really really fine tune this very quickly, just because of some very smart design decisions that they've made in these tools that they've given you, which is really fun. I don't know exactly. It's hard to describe exactly why it's so much fun, but for me, coming into this game, I expected uh, the actual level making to be like the extreme selling point for me, just because I really enjoyed it the last time. And it's been a while since I played it. I actually missed some updates on the last one, but let's talk about some improvements from the previous game in that aspect. Uh, so some things from Mario Maker 1. First off, you could not adjust everything at the start. You actually had to kind of level up as you were going to actually unlock more items to use in your
Oh.
level,
Interesting.
including like adjusting the timer. For example, like you started
Oh
at
wow.
500 seconds, and until you
Oh.
put so many blocks in levels, you would not be actually unlocked the ability to lower your timer. uh, so in various other tools, you literally could not use these other blocks. And I understand why they did it. They did it as kind of a gating. Nobody's really made Mario levels before, so let's start you out with the real basics, and then add, and then add, and then add, and then add. Uh, but what it led to was just a kind of, there were ways to kind of cheese it, but just it kind of gated some of the what you could actually do. You couldn't make as cool levels starting out, and that was kind of a bummer. Here you got everything from the start, with the exception of two like secret power ups. uh, that's okay.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
fine with that. Uh, so you've got everything from the start. Everything is more intuitively laid out, like I was saying, and like it's just they've done so much work just to make this faster, snappier, really, really nice to play. From a making point of view, that it completely blows out the first game out of the water for me, and there's a couple of things that the first game had that this one doesn't, particularly the amiibo costumes. Kind of
Huh.
stinks to lose those, because you could actually have a costume for 8-bit Mario of any amiibo. So you all of a sudden you could like be playing as Lucina in your Mario Maker
Yes.
level if you really wanted to.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
That was really
interesting.
cool, but it was very limited. It was only available in the original Super Mario Brothers style, so only the 8-bit one, which is the least interesting mechanically. And it acted as a power up. So if you got hit, you lost it. You were back to Mario. You couldn't like force that for the entire
Right,
course,
right.
right? Which is a little bit of a bummer. It's more of a bummer just to not have those at all. But it's okay. This game does let you play as your choice of Mario, Luigi, Toad, or Toadette on courses, which I love. And I'm playing as Luigi right now for all courses, and it's great. It's fantastic. Uh, but it is just a good time, and I'm kind of gushing a little bit, but like seriously, this game is super fun. And so I started this out saying, I came into it expecting to really dive into the maker, and I did. I made a couple courses. I'm making a third one. I'm gonna continue. It's a lot of fun. But what I've been digging is actually playing other people's courses more than I did in the first game. A lot, because in the first game, some of the courses I played were just awful, like just utterly terrible. In this
Hmm.
game, the overall quality seems a lot higher. Also, I'm really enjoying the multiplayer more than
Yes.
I expected to, and I'm not gonna say it's more than I expected. And I expected to enjoy it, but it's a lot of fun. And some of the levels, some of the levels just don't work at all for multiplayer, and you get that. But some of them are actually like kind of ingenious, and you really feel good about a win in multiplayer or working together to get through a level, and kind of supporting each other. It's a lot of fun. I've really, really enjoyed that. Brought down a little bit by some lag issues. We've talked about that before. The Switch is a
Hmm.
portable console.
Right.
You can take it and play it on McDonald's Wi-Fi. So I don't really know how you solve that too much, but it is kind of a bummer for a precision platformer to be brought down by skipping lag. But yeah, for the most part, I've had a lot of fun with it, so I don't have too many complaints there.
I'm not really too surprised about the skipping leg. I think that was something to be expected, just given the magnitude of how many people are playing this game, and hopefully they'll iron things out with that very soon. But yeah, I mean, for me, like, I too enjoyed playing other people's levels. I had a tendency to just go into the like top 20, top 25 levels. I did that one day where I just played through every single one and like just the most popular ones, including several that were like very like speed runny, like the very like low timer speed run type of levels
Yeah.
where you have to beat it. Like you can only beat it once you if you're at 0 seconds. There's a chance you can still finish it at that 0 second point. And I was like, whoa, I didn't know you could do that. Because then I thought that once you hit zero, it's over. But there's a bit of a gap when you see 0 seconds left. Like you can still finish the level. So I was like, okay, that's actually interesting. And there was one level I really liked. It was like you're playing Pong. I don't know if you guys played it, but it was like the person who designed it. He set it up so that like go into this level, the course, and then um he he or she constructed it so that like you're pretty much a shell comes out, and then you're trying to play Pong, and then if you hit it past his or her paddle, it does it activates the first PAL from his side,
Hmm.
and then and there's like two there's like pretty much like a three strike rule. Like once you hit
Hmm.
all those PALs, then you beat the level. But if the other person or the computer, if they get your PALs, if they manage to pass the shell past your paddle,
Right.
you die. You game over. So I thought it was really, really interesting. I'll find it later. I'll link you guys to it in a little bit. But yeah, I thought it was really nice. A tribute back to Pong, the very iconic game back in the 70s. I'm not sure if I'm describing it the clearest, but yeah, I thought it was really fun. Um, yeah, it's man, and I really like the night mode. Like just and listening to music. Like when I was just trying to create my second level, and I just I just pressed the minus button to play the level, and there wasn't really much into it anyway. And I was just listening to the music, like night mode, snow level. Really
Oh
nice.
man,
Yeah.
can we get into the music?
Yes. Oh
So,
god.
so this, I kind of hyped this before when they announced it. I think at E3 or maybe before that all these extra new themes were going to be composed by Koji Kondo in the original
Yes.
theme.
Oh my god. So
My
awesome.
God, they're fantastic. They're so good, and I find myself like whistling some of the night themes or like the random forest themes that we've never heard before. They're just so good. I'm shocked. I mean, I'm not shocked, but I'm very very pleasantly surprised that this actually happened and is so good. You know.
Yeah, it was just. I mean, I found myself humming to them like even like after I played Super Mario Maker for a day. I was like, I can't believe it. It's nice. It's I mean that just gives the game more life. You know, like when you have an original creator or original composer like Koji Kondo making new Mario music for like Super Mario, like to the theme of like Super Mario Brothers, the original. I mean, that's incredible. I don't know what to say about that. Like,
I also really like the editing music, which is like a clever little remix of the main themes. And when you put an item on the stage, it says its name and it says it to the
yes,
tone of the music. So it's like, you know, do 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 item block, and you're like, what?
it is very cleverly coded. Like, man, that wow, it's
coin, yeah. Like,
Snoop.
and some of them are really funny. It's like conveyor belt. You're like, okay. Oh man, yeah, the music is crazy. The new music is great. It fits in really well, and the new themes are actually really nice. So you can see things you've never seen before in some of these older Mario games. And the other thing I want to say is, so all of the themes from Mario Maker 1 are here. So the original Super Mario
Sweet.
Brothers, Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario World, and New Super Mario Brothers are all here. Also, they've added Mario 3D World, 3D 2D World, whatever. But a new theme based on 3D World in a 2D plane. And what I'm very intrigued by is how different each of the themes actually feels as you're playing it.
Mhm.
Not a single one is one to one from another one, and it's like there's room for all of them. Like the Super Nintendo style, the Super Mario World is like iconic. It's the only one that you can uh I think it's the only one you can throw items upwards in, and a few other little tips and tricks and mechanics in the Super Mario World style that only work in that one. New Super Mario Brothers is a fantastic one for just speed running because you get up to speed really fast and you have the little air twirl and things, and it's awesome. But the 3D World theme, which is brand new for this, has a lot of really cool things. Like it has the character acceleration thing from the 3D World game where like you have to run for a little bit before you get the little speed boost thing and start running at your full speed.
Mhm.
You can actually, if you're trying to speed run a level, it actually really comes into play. They also give you a long jump, which is the first long jump in
Yeah.
a 2D Mario that I can remember. Plays completely differently. It's awesome. They gave you a spin jump which goes higher, and all sorts of things. And not to even mention like the cat suit can like run up walls and climb things in the background and stuff. So there's a lot there, and I'm very pleased at how different all of the different themes actually are.
Yeah, like the one thing about the cat suit, I didn't know that you can like dive diagonally. Like that's pretty awesome. I mean, which goes to show again, I did not play Super Mario 3D World, and I wish I did. But yeah, I mean, I there's like a couple of things I can think of to take advantage of that mechanic. But yeah, I mean, Cat Mario, like wow. I mean,
Me wow.
me wow, meow, me wow. Is there a Tanuki? Is there a Tanuki suit? Because I have to use that. Like I didn't mess around with the Super Mario Bros. 3 theme as much as I want to yet.
Yeah, of
But
course there is.
okay, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Like I gotta make a level on that, man. I love that like attire thing.
So almost, and it's not quite to this level, but almost you can pretty much recreate most of anything from the original Super Mario Brothers, Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario World in this game. There's a few things missing that kind of keep that from being 100% true, but it's close. It's very close to being a full one-to-one. You could make all the courses if you wanted to.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of content here, right? But for some reason, I kind of see this game being like a long tail seller and also supported by Nintendo. For instance, there's no support of, I believe there isn't, for the Nintendo Online application, like for mobile or for your cell phone.
Yeah, there
And I
isn't.
think there really should be. It would be a really easy way to see your levels, to download levels, share them. I kind of have this feeling that they're working on a really good application for that. And, they could also add more themes, they could also add more items, they could improve the multiplayer, like the lag issue maybe. I mean, we know for sure they're adding multiplayer with friends. So to me, it seems like Nintendo is planning a lot of things behind the scenes for this game.
Yeah, the first game they actually had a content rollout. So they had a
Ooh.
few updates with
Oh,
new items, new all sorts of stuff. So they added a ton of things later in that game's release, including things like checkpoints, like really, really big
oh,
things that were not in the base
yeah.
game that they added later. I'm trying to think what they could add to this. People bring up the Super Mario Brothers 2 theme a lot.
Yes. Yeah, it
At
would have
this
been
point, I'd
good.
be down for it. It's such a different game that I don't know exactly what you could do with it, but I'm not gonna say no. I'll say.
Mhm. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the point about using the Nintendo online mobile app stores because, if I want to look at the stats of like my course, like how many people cleared it, what have you, I don't want to always open the game or turn on the game itself and be able to check it. Like I want to be able to check it on the app like really quickly, just to see it. I mean, uh, at my own convenience. So I think it, it would be a missed opportunity if Nintendo didn't take use the app to include Super Mario Maker 2. But yeah, I mean, man, there's just so much you can do with this game, and uh, I would imagine that in the future there will be like more invitational tournaments because I mean y'all watched that like invitational tournament, right? Like that really got to me. Like when I was watching when we were watching the co-op thing with just like the creativity of like the on-off switches and the timing of the jumps and man, like I just love that part of. I rewatched that like at least like 17 times and
Oh,
I
wow.
enjoyed every part of it. Um, the one of my favorite parts is when you know, I think it's the second to last part of the co-op level where you have like you have one character on the bottom, and then you have another one, trying to jump at the right time to depending on whether it's an on switch or an off switch platform, and so the person on the bottom has to time it so that the person on top or the first half of the level can time the jump right so that like if you time it right you'll be able to get to the pipe really easily. And I think Nintendo Minute or with Kid and Krista they it was fun watching them like mess up just on the timing and all that, but I mean but they were able to get it. Kudos to them. And yeah, I mean I want to play that myself, man. I can't
It's
wait
out
to be
there.
able. Yeah, it is,
Yeah,
and
you can play it.
I should. I don't know why I haven't yet, but I've been heavily invested in creating levels and just playing others. But yeah, I mean, man, there's just so much to play with this game. I can't even.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure we didn't hit everything.
Oh.
There's a lot that we haven't hit yet. I'm sure we'll talk about it later. But for now, I mean, is it? For me, it is. But for you guys, is it safe to say this might? I mean, this is probably game of the year up to this point.
It's an early decision for me. So far, I want to wait until Fire Emblem comes out and um the Pokemon games like Sword and Shield. But yeah, like it's definitely a contender for sure. I don't know if it's number one yet, but yeah, it man.
It's definitely gonna be up there on our list, I believe. I kind of wish it had come out a little bit earlier in the year so that we had a little bit more distance between it in Fire Emblem and then the rest of the games. But
Yeah.
it's we gotta remember this game. Fire Emblem is gonna come out, and we're gonna probably focus on that a little bit. But I definitely see myself going back to this game, and I hope everyone is because there's so much potential, especially like if we are guessing and hoping that Nintendo adds support and adds even more features to what's already here. We didn't really even mention the story mode that's here, and that it's like a
Oh yeah,
tutorial in a
that.
way that you play those levels to find out what you can do and how you can implement it. I mean, there's a lot of content here already,
Right.
and then that you can share and play with others. So for sure, this game is gonna be a long laster.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, I said it before it came out, and then once it came out, it just kind of confirmed it. This is probably one of 3 or 4 must-haves on the system, in my opinion, and that's
Hmm.
it. I mean, I think you need to have Zelda Breath of the Wild. I think you need to have Mario Maker and maybe a couple more of them, and that's honestly that is it for the Switch. There are a ton of really good games out there. I don't want to diminish them, but if you're talking like absolute must-haves, this has got to be up there in my opinion. I think it's an utterly really really fantastic game. So yeah, that's about as good a praise as I think I can give it.
And you know what else? There are certain games that make us question, am I using the right controller for this game? And I had
Yes.
that question myself. I was using the Pro controller and it was working okay. I was doing what I needed to do, but something was lacking. And Kevin, I actually
Hmm.
asked for your recommendation. And do you want to tell us what is your preferred control method for this game?
Absolutely. The preferred controller, excuse me, the player's choice, I like to say. The player's choice is 8BitDo SN30 Pro Bluetooth Gamepad. Um, G Classic Edition. So 8BitDo is this company that they pretty much create, you know, close to the T, if not original, like Super Nintendo controllers, and just what I have here in my hands right now, it is the G Classic Edition, which is a Game Boy edition. So the D-pad pretty
Oh,
much matches the D-pad on a original Game Boy. Now, 8BitDo did release Super Nintendo controllers um, earlier, I believe, a year or two ago, and they didn't have analog sticks, but
right.
this one does. And I actually use this controller way more than the original Nintendo Switch Pro controller at the moment. Even though I still love playing with that controller, but yeah, like it feels really nice on the hand. Um, and the D-pad is just it's I mean, I don't want to say perfect, but it pretty much is. Like it's just the right weight, the right surface area, like everything about it just feels wonderful. And the controller does have your, those two circle buttons, like the one where you can take a screenshot or do a video, and the other one where you can. I don't know why I'm blanking out on what these buttons actually are, but you know what I mean. The other button you can.
Like the home and the screenshot. Yeah.
Oh, okay, there you go. That's exactly what I wanted to say. So the home circle home button is there too, but what's important about this iteration is that there was a previous edition of the same type controller, but those two home and screenshot buttons were in the middle of the controller, I believe. And
Ah,
sometimes when you want to use the analog, you might accidentally click on those buttons, but here they separate it they separate it to a point where you're not going to be easily clicking on those buttons by accident. So I feel like the distance between those buttons is nice, and the big X, Y, A, B buttons are just great. I do like the L and R buttons, and there is rumble and motion control. Uh,
yes.
the only thing that I don't, and I do not believe it has amiibo support. I might be wrong, but I don't think it does. Now the only minor complaint.
Not that you can use it with this game anyway.
Yeah, you can, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. You can. Um, Well, maybe for like Super Smash. But so there was a complaint that some YouTubers have said is that it's not as ergonomic. Like it's not like the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, which is more ergonomic. But I have to disagree. I actually think this is just as ergonomic. Like it's the dog bone shaped that is iconic for the past like 25 years or so. Like it just feels really nice in the hand.
I mean, let's just call it what it is. This is basically a Super Nintendo controller with a couple of analog sticks on it. So
Right.
it looks and feels like playing a Super Nintendo controller with a couple analog sticks on it, and you know exactly, like, if you grew up in that era with us, you know exactly what I'm describing, so you know if it's ergonomic or not. I personally, yeah, I prefer holding the Pro controller. I do, but this is not bad. It wasn't bad in the 90s. It's
Right.
not bad now, you know?
Yeah, right, exactly. And I think when the YouTuber said that, they were just nitpicking, which I totally get. It's not the most ergonomic, but I feel like it's still. I personally, for me, I still think it's ergonomic. Like just it's ergonomic enough to just my hands don't cramp. I feel good about it, and yeah, like I totally recommend it to anyone who wants to have a SNES style Pro controller. I think it's $45 on Amazon right now. It used to be 50, so that's 45 or 44.99, what have you, whatever. But and the thing is that you can use this for not just the Switch, but
Right.
for Microsoft Windows, Android devices, Mac OS, and Steam. It is a Bluetooth gamepad, so it is Bluetooth compatible. I don't know why it's not compatible for iOS devices, but I guess Mac OS is just beat the punch. But yeah, and yeah, so there is the G Classic Edition, and there's believe the SNES edition. Like it just like the colors look more like the original Super Nintendo controller. This one is more
Yes.
Game Boy. And I want to make very clear, this is the second iteration of these SN30 Pro controllers. The first iteration has like more of an iconic design, like the original Super Nintendo controllers. But this one's just a bit more updated, and like I said, the home and screenshot buttons are placed differently to the point where you're not going to accidentally click on them while you're using the analog stick. So, fair enough.
Yeah, I actually have I have the SN30, not the Pro. So the
Okay.
one that is actually literally a Super Nintendo controller, and
Right.
I've still got my Super Nintendo controllers, so I like held them side to side. You can if you were blindfolded, you probably couldn't tell the difference. The SN30 was slightly wider, like a little tiny bit thicker, and that was it. The D-pad feels the same, the buttons feel the same. For the most part of a new Super Nintendo controller, yeah, they did a really good job. Really, really good. The only complaint I had was that mine doesn't have like the home and the share button, so
Right.
actually
Oh, okay.
navigating the Switch is kind of difficult on it. Like there's some workarounds you can kind of work with, but that's what prevents me from like using it more. But if this one has it, yeah, the controller feels really good.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
for
does.
sure. And I did end up picking this up based on your recommendation,
Oh,
Kevin. And
nice.
Nice.
I don't have much to add. I mean, you definitely everything you said it's spot on this one. It's the D-pad that I was looking for this type of game, and it just works perfectly. There's no input lag at all, and the company that makes it is actually very well known for really keeping these controller firmware up to date. So if there's ever any issue, most likely they will just release an update, and we're gonna be good to go. It's a really cool feature that, like you said, it's not just for the Switch. It works on many systems, and it feels right.
Yeah, and I'm glad you guys will love it. And before we continue, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. I made a mistake. The first iteration of the SN30 Pro controllers with the analog sticks, the home and the screenshot buttons are not in the middle. They're still on the left and right sides. So I apologize for making any confusion. But the truth is that the one I have, or the one you have, Sergio, as well, it's just a more updated, modern look and feel of the controller. So
I see.
no complaints there. And personally, I
Nice.
wouldn't want the home and screenshot buttons to be in the middle either. So
Yes, right.
uh,
That's good.
so I corrected myself. Do not hold your pitchforks against me. I love this controller.
Get him.
This is not false information, so it's all good. Okay. Anyway.
So for me, I kind of came through the same conundrum of, what controller do I want to use for Mario Maker? Because you guys know I'm mostly a handheld player, and I did
Right.
not really. I've played platformers with the analog sticks before. I'm okay with that. It wouldn't be my preferred way, and I didn't want to use the split Joy-Con buttons. So I was like, I wonder, what I should do here. And I actually picked up one of the Hori left Joy-Cons with the D-pad. So
Sweet.
I picked up. I think I talked about it a little bit. I picked up the Zelda version.
Cool.
It was $20 at Target, and I was like, okay, my Joy-Con was kind of having an issue anyway. I was getting some of the drift issues that I need to send it into Nintendo. Now I'm thinking about it. But I picked this up, and I was like, it's $20. I'll use it for Mario Maker at least. Let's see how it is. I am very surprised at how good it is, actually, and I mean that in every way. Like, the analog stick kind of feels like a normal Joy-Con, just period. Like, it feels as good. The shoulder buttons are slightly clickier, which is kind of weird when you only have one of them, but it's really not a big deal. You get used to it pretty quick. And then the D-pad, which is what you buy it for, D-pad feels phenomenal. Really, just really nice. So I was laughing about this last night, actually. I have been playing so much Mario Maker with the D-pad that I jumped into Rocket League with a friend, and we started playing, and I initially had my thumb on the D-pad, and I was just like quick chatting instead of using the analog. I was like, oh wait, I'm not. Whoops. But anyways, so I've been extremely pleased with it. If you are looking for another Joy-Con that is specifically for handheld mode, this is not. It does not have Bluetooth. It does not jump. You can't break it off and hand it to a friend and play multiplayer or anything. This is specifically for the Switch being a handheld device. If that is cool and you like playing handheld and you could use a D-pad, I definitely recommend the Hori controllers. The Joy-Cons, they're really nice. They feel really, really good overall, and they're cheap. So not bad at all. There was an initial concern with, I guess it was eating up a lot of the battery life for whatever reason.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Yeah. So this is it works through some sort of IR technology with the actual system itself, and I guess there was something wrong with the way that was coded. It was eating up a lot of the battery. That got patched, so no worries there.
Oh, nice.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So
wow.
I don't notice any discernible difference in the battery life of the system with it versus a regular Joy-Con. So yeah, like I said, no worries there from my end at least.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I was going to ask about excuse me, that was one of my biggest concerns is the battery life thing. But man, just hearing you guys like embracing, these controllers with an awesome D-pad, like I think it's awesome. And like whether it's the 8BitDo Pro Controller or the Hori Joy-Con D-pad or the original 8BitDo SN3 controllers, like they're very viable options. And like for anyone who needs a D-pad type of controller or controller with a D-pad, these are just, you gotta go for these. Like hot out the press, like you gotta go for them. Like I mean, and granted, like it does cost a bit of money, but it's totally worth it. I mean,
yeah, and obviously, I mean, we weren't given these for free. We're not being paid for pushing them or anything. We actually we bought them and we actually enjoy them. So I will be posting. There will be some affiliate links if you want to support the show. These things sound interesting to you. You can click through those. It'll take you to Amazon. You can buy one, and we'll get a little bit of the share on that, which is nice. So
yes.
That'll be in the show notes, and we'll post it on Discord and such, just in case you're interested. If you're not, no big deal, no worries. So I think for now I'm gonna jump into one listener mail. Actually, these have been kind of building up while we've been going through a lot of activities, E3 and our anniversary episode, and so on and so forth. But there's one question that I think is actually fairly relevant for today. It comes in from Big Shot. Who says, have you found it difficult to go back and play older video games when we have so many new and improved features, gameplay mechanics, and graphics today? I will start playing a little NES on Switch, even games I really enjoyed, and find myself wanting to go back to the current games I own instead.
Ooh, That is a tough one. Man, I mean, I might be a little biased here just because, like, there's always a time where I just love playing games like F-Zero on the SNES or like oh yeah, or Super Mario Kart on the SNES. Like those are just classics that you cannot. They're irreplaceable. Um, and then there was one game in particular from the well Nintendo Switch Online catalog. Hockey is great, man. Like I just
Yeah.
love playing that. Yeah, I was like, damn, like why did I not play this before? Um, so my answer is yes. I do find it difficult to go back and play older video games. Um, it's just because like we live in an era where there's just so many viable options of like the games that are out there, and it's kind of like we're kind of spoiled actually, to be honest. Like just all the innovation, the blue ocean model type of games. I mean, just left and right, there's all these sort of ideas that are coming out, and um, but there are always going to be timeless classics that will always get you back. Whether it brings back nostalgia or that feeling you had when it like life defining moments for you that just make you want to play that game again. So that's my answer.
Nice. And I see your point, but I feel like, today's the way life is, I guess, at least for me, but probably for a lot of us, there's limited time that we can dedicate to
Yeah.
this awesome hobby. So I feel like it makes sense to play the new stuff and to stay on top of what's modern and what's like what's trending, I guess, or what's current, because of course we always have our favorites, the classic games that we love, and sometimes they get either a remaster or a remake, and that's kind of the way that we can say, well, I know it's an old game and I played it before, but it has this now. it has a new it has a new color. Like one
Right.
minor thing so we can play it again. Like I wanted to play Resident Evil 4 again, that it recently came out on the Switch again, but I guess I would rather just play something new eventually.
Right.
But yeah, those old games are always gonna be there. And I think one exception that you can make is if you're gonna play an old game that either you haven't played before or that you haven't finished yet. I was just earlier today, actually, I was thinking that maybe it's time again for me to go back to Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. That's a game that I've started
Ooh.
at least like 7 or 8 times, and I always end up quitting. So it's tempting. It's always tempting. I don't know why it came to me today, but yeah, I like I said, if it's a game that you haven't beaten, I think it's okay to, if you feel like playing something older or something that you kind of fondly remember, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think
Hmm.
I'm kind of in the middle of you guys here. In that, so as the question's worded, do I find it difficult to go back and play older video games? Not because of the games themselves most of the time. A game that I liked on Super Nintendo is still going to be a game I like today. Tetris Attack, Yoshi's
Yes.
Island, Super Mario RPG, Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. I could go on.
Hmm.
There's a ton of games that I still enjoy playing today from these older systems that kind of to Serge's point, I just don't have that much time to, would I rather be playing something like Final Fantasy 12? Yeah, probably. I picked that game up and I put a few hours into it. It's amazing. It's really, really good. It's a game I've never played before. So, kind of what you were saying, Serge,
Hmm.
a lot of the problem here is that I think you said specifically, those games will always be there, right? So
Right.
like
Yes.
in the back of my mind, those games will always be there. So I don't really have any reason to play them right now, and then that just always becomes a thing, and then I just never play them. Real recently, I got excited when Zelda 2 came out on the NES Online uh, system because I love that game. I really, really like Zelda 2 for whatever reason. Uh, I haven't played it. And it's sitting there. It's free. I could play it anytime I want, and I'm just not. But so something like Super Mario Maker is actually telling me that this is not a problem with the older games because I can play any course in a Super Mario World theme and be fine. I love it. It's
Hmm.
great. It's not the way the games play so much as it's just you want to keep kind of moving forward on new experiences, and that's just kind of where it's been. The one area that I do find it difficult to play right now is there's a kind of a specific era. Anything on 3DS. I have like no
Oh,
interest in
gosh.
picking up the 3DS
Yeah.
anymore, and that it's a little sad because it's actually a really really good system, and I'm sitting on a couple of games that I never finished. Like I picked up Samus Returns, and I started playing it and I never finished it, and then something on Switch came out and put it down, never went back, and I kind of look at it from time to time and I'm just like, nah. And that's just I don't know why. But that's the one that is like the 3DS is actually a little painful for me to play right now, and I'm trying to solve that, but Switch has so many games coming out and so many really good games coming out for the rest of the year that it's probably not going to happen this year.
Yeah, I had the exact same problem with my 2DS. Even from the first few games I got on the Switch, I just neglected my 2DS immediately. Like I just did not even make a single effort to come back to it, just because like the Switch is like everything I wanted with even with Breath of the Wild and even with Fast RMX, which does scratch the itch of F-Zero a little bit, and with just games that were coming down the pipeline, and even like Mario Kart 8, like with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I was like, all right, it's over. Like this has put the nail in the coffin. And then like, and I didn't even finish Fire Emblem Conquest yet. Like I was still playing it, and like still.
Oh, that's
man.
sad. That's
Yeah,
sad.
it's really sad. And so, but you guys made a good point about time. Like we don't have a lot of time nowadays to play all the games we want, and so typically we do want to have the time spent with new experiences, like new features and graphics and all that. So it is really tough. But every once in a while, it is nice to play F-Zero on the SNES. Like I'm just gonna say that. But gosh, it's time,
Hey,
man.
we
Time
all
is a
have
thief.
those. That's okay.
Yeah, time is a thief. But yeah, man, that's a good question. Shout out to Big Shot for that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I think that is probably going to wrap us. Sergio, you want to take it?
Yeah, that's right. And again, our new segment for this show. So last week we asked you, what do you prefer, barks or meows? And on our Discord, most people actually went with meows, which I agree with.
I am so ashamed
Oh.
that no.
No, I'm a bark type of person.
Yeah.
I went with barks. I believe your wife,
Hashtag
Daryl,
bark life.
went-
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you, your wife, Rebecca, and I went with barks. Yeah.
And the most common comment there was that barks are kind of loud and obnoxious. Barks can save your life, man. Like
Yeah,
barks
man.
can,
That's true.
can scare off somebody or can alert you to something that a meow is just not gonna do. So I'm sorry. Mm-mm. Also, dogs are the best creatures on this planet. So whatever.
Ooh, put that on the map. And meows can be a little sassy too. Like barks. I mean, like it could be like a guard dog bark or like a I want to play with you kind of bark.
Can
know?
you
So-
imagine how hype it would be if Nintendo does a new Mario game and the power up turns him into Dog Mario? That would be fantastic.
I would love that.
That would
Oh
be
my God.
fantastic versus the meow. No, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Well, the thing is, they already have a cat Mario, so we're
Yeah, it's
waiting for
terrible.
dog Mario. I know we need a dog Mario, man. Like just. But what kind of dog would they have? Like, would it be like a golden retriever, a coonhound?
I shudder to think what that would even look like. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyway,
yeah, no, I just for the record, I'm ashamed of our audience right now. You guys will make it up to me, but yeah, sorry.
Well, here's your question for this week.
Ooh.
Are you a Switch game licker?
Oh no.
We just want to know. We're not going to judge. We
Oh.
support you, whichever response you gave. Let us know. You might make some new friends.
Yeah, the way you said it implies something, but
I love these questions. I
yeah.
love them. They're fantastic. Okay.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone. We're going to jump out of here. If you haven't already, feel free to join our Discord group. We have a great community to chat with and to play games, and we would love to have you there as well. If you're interested, the description for this episode has a link to our Discord. Other than that, we have a Facebook group, and we are also on Twitter and Instagram as Nintendo Jump. And you can listen to all of our episodes on YouTube as well. Please send us any feedback you have at nintendojumppodcast@gmail.com. If you want to support the show, the best way to do so is through our Patreon. That's patreon.com/NintendoJump. Another way to support would be by leaving a review for the show in your favorite podcast application. Either way, thank you so much for your support. This is Sergio, and on behalf of Daryl and Kevin, thanks for listening. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Laters.